Welcome back to the shop, folks. I must apologize for the rather lengthy delay, for which I assure you there are numerous good excuses. So many, in fact, that I'm going to make that the topic of a future video. Coming soon, I promise. Just like all these other projects. Because I want to get right into the single topic of today's video, that project which has most recently overtaken the garage. Beehives! Yeah, we're doing that now. This project was my wife's idea, and has proven to be quite interesting. So a little while back, by following our trusty Beehives for Idiots manual, we constructed these Langstroth hives, which we did over at my dad's shop, where he has a nicer table saw and more room for woodworking. Really, the only thing about the Langstroth hive is box joints, which are constructed using a dado blade and a good table saw, and a jig that you can easily build yourself following the guidance of Norm at the New Yankee Workshop. But of course I had to make one change. The plans suggest nails here, and I just can't bring myself to do that when there are so many lovely screws available these days, making this a ridiculously strong joint, as if it wasn't already, with the box joinery and the glue. This color here is just a matter of what we happen to have left over from a dome coating project. This fancy thick paint. It really fills in the sloppy carpentry. We were in a hurry. And the tedious bit in our shop has been assembling these frames, which we decided not to cut ourselves for time reasons, and we wanted to see a nice factory-built example before considering constructing our own. And I think I would try to find a simpler design that results in the same shape. But anyway, we had to glue these wood parts together, and I put a brad in each corner, and install these pre-made sheets of wax with vertical wires embedded in them, with this little strip on top, which comes still attached to the top rail here, hanging on by a thread, like cut most of the way through, so you can take a utility knife and slice that off. Then fish this in, starting with the corner, because you can never line up the whole edge at once. Found myself bending these top wires over to more of a 90-degree angle before doing that as well, and then bradding the strip down on top of those top wires with the cute little brad nailer. And after that, for further reinforcement, was the embedding of the horizontal wire, which, as it comes from the bee supply, is a 26 gauge, I believe, tinned steel wire that you make an end piece for. I soldered on a short bit of 12 gauge solid wire there for an end piece, and stretch and stretch and wind back and forth and tie it off at the end through those holes there, you see. Such a thin steel wire can be rather annoying to work with, as it's fairly springy and likes to fly off the roll and get tangled up easily. Once the wires are installed horizontally, they need to be embedded in the wax, for which I chose the electric method. I just took a guess at what would be appropriate here. Of course, we only want to heat this up a little bit, not melt entirely through the wax and leave a big void. And this turned out to work pretty well, going one strand at a time. In the future, we could make some kind of a jig, possibly where we could do all the strands at once, and without fiddling with wires. Now, I must remind everyone that this is not intended to be a beekeeping instructional at all. This is merely showing our first venture into the world of beekeeping. Now, as my wife is the one who's been doing the reading and attending bee class and meeting with the bee club, I'm going to turn it over to her at this point. Since we have 2 hives, we decided to try 2 different methods of bee installation. The one you see here being where you leave enough frames out to make room for the bee shipping container and simply place it in there and allow them to make their way out on their own. And then on the next hive, we'll use the more traditional dumping the bees into the hive. Well, that was Wednesday, and this is Sunday, and they're almost out of sugar water.
Seems like it's lit pretty well, so I'm going to try to put this green on top just to make it smokier. It's supposed to be kind of like a cool fire, and you can make it too hot and actually hurt the bees, I think. And you keep pumping it, so it doesn't go out. Give them a couple puffs. You don't have to give them too much, it basically just makes them soft. Remove the inner cover. Alright. Seems like they're all hanging out in a group, which is good. And it looks like they've built some comb. Not seeing the queen cage. Let's probably comb that thing in. And try to very gently take this out. You gotta always assume the queen's on any frame. You really don't want to crush her, so you gotta buy a new one. It looks like they're crawling in and out of the cage, so that means she's out. Oh, alright guys. There's a dead bee in there, so hopefully she's fine. It's probably not her. I built a bit of comb. Not a lot, but it's only been a couple days. Alright, I can see that dead bee is not the queen because she doesn't have a very long abdomen, so that means she got out. But we'll know in a couple weeks regardless because they'll be laying eggs or they won't be. I'll just gently put this in. You really don't want to crush anybody. Smoke. Alright. Now we just need to refill the sugar water. They're actually really docile right now. Didn't even need my husband to open the jar for me. And it's like a 1-to-1 ratio for the sugar. I'm not sure about corn syrup. And then I put a bit of Honeybee Healthy, which is a mixture of things, including lemongrass, which they love lemongrass. That's what you put in swarm traps to get them to go in. Hope husband will like. But that's pretty good. I mean, they've only been there 4 days, and they've already started building some combs, so that's nice. Hive number 2 is actually missing those 4 frames right there, because I thought I'd try the gentler method of not shaking them in, but placing the box gently inside. Now this one comes with its own risks, because a lot of times they can build comb inside the box. But since it's only been 4 days, I'm hoping it won't be that bad. But we'll see. Whoa. And this seems like the hive with more people in it. Like, I see a lot more activity in this hive than the other hive. I'm actually going to remove a frame since there's really not too much on it yet. And then that way I don't smash anybody for sure when I pull this out. Everybody's out of the box. We'll just set that down here. And this one looks like they've built more comb than the other one. For some reason this box is much healthier. I don't know why. The least method or just dumb luck. Now I can see them going in and out. So they've definitely, she's out. Or she could get out. Now they've kind of glued this thing in with burr comb, which they warned could happen. But we've got it out. Alright guys, it's okay. I see several bees in here, but none of them look like the queen. She can be a little hard to spot, but she has a much larger abdomen than the rest. Trying to move this over a bit. The spacing's already a little off. I might have to scrape it in a couple weeks. That's okay. Hopefully no one's been smashed. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the only reason spacing is pretty important here is you don't want them to glue things together, because they have a tendency to do that, because wild bees, they just build wherever. I mean, it's a better rhyme actually than ours, but we want them to be able to work it, so I leave that down because they can go out the top. And in the wintertime you actually plug that up the other way so they can't get out the top. Refill the sugar water. Guys, see, this is my ultra high-tech water feeder I made, and we have a lot of standing water here, you know, but it's hard to tell when it's going to dry up, so I figured it'd be better just to provide them one, that way it takes it out of the equation. And this is basically water with some corks in it, and the corks are there so the bees can land on them and drink without drowning. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it, but this seemed a really easy, cheap way, thanks to several people I know that drink a lot of wine. I didn't even have to buy these. Get out of there, Mandy. No Mandy's.
So there you have it, folks. Looks like everything is working out all right so far. Don't forget to click the like or dislike button according to your feelings about today's video. And this is and will continue to be a channel of wildly varying topics. So go check out the channel page if you haven't yet to see what else is going on around here. And we will have lots of automotive projects coming up soon. And don't forget to subscribe if you like what you see. Thanks for watching.